The golden age of Hollywood definitely had a lot of stars and icons that would be remembered forever.
On the sea, Joan of Arc was made of Berlin.
Some say it was even peak cinema as far as Hollywood is concerned. But some of the children of these golden age stars not only took after their parents. Christina Crawford. If you're the daughter of Joan Crawford, you don't need to be told that you have big shoes to fill. Although Christina was adopted, the story of how she rose to fame was not exactly what you'd have in mind. When Christina was adopted, her mother, Joan Crawford, was one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. Some even said the adoption was a sort of publicity stunt to help her reputation in the industry. Whether this was true or false, there is no evidence to respond to that. But Joan later married actor Philip Terry in 1942, and together they adopted another child, a son, Christopher. Growing up as the child of a major Hollywood actress, Christina was exposed to the highs of fame but also to a much darker side of her mother's life. Christina followed in her mother's footsteps, at least initially, by pursuing a career in acting. She studied drama at Carnegie Mellon. As soon as she finished, she plunged into acting, trying to be just like her mother and make her mark in Hollywood. But little did she know what really awaited her in the future. One of Christina's most notable acting ventures was her role on the long-running soap opera The Secret Storm.
This is The Secret Storm.
She joined the cast in the 1960s, portraying the character Joan Borman Kane. This was Christina's biggest break in television, offering her a steady role and visibility. All was good. She was well on her way to fame. But soon enough, something shocking happened, and that threatened to ruin everything for her. After just a little while in the limelight, Christina was said to have fallen ill. Here's where it gets interesting. Someone else finally decided to step into Christina's role in the show, and that person was none other than Christina's mother, Joan Crawford herself. Obviously, Christina was not happy about this. She felt as though her mother was trying to steal her career from her. This especially was painful to her since Joan was way older than the character's age. It felt like a personal attack on her own daughter, and Christina was going to retaliate someday. Joan's decision to take over her daughter's role, despite being significantly older than the character, only added to the tension between the two. Moving forward, Christina also made appearances on other television shows such as Medical Center and in smaller stage productions. But sadly, despite all her efforts, she struggled to gain significant recognition in Hollywood. She did not enjoy the same level of critical acclaim or widespread fame that her mother did, and her acting career eventually stalled. It was perhaps the shadow of her mother's towering legacy, combined with the difficulties of navigating the entertainment industry on her own terms, that prevented Christina from achieving lasting success in Hollywood. However, even though her acting career never reached the heights of her mother's legendary status, and while Joan was celebrated for her powerful performances in films like Mildred Pierce, 1945, and Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, 1962, Christina rose to fame in the most unusual way. In 1978, Christina published a memoir called Mommy Dearest, and it shocked the entire world. The book was a shocking revelation of the abuse and psychological trauma Christina endured at the hands of her mother. Before then, Joan had enjoyed a stellar reputation in Hollywood, and she was always seen as a woman of grace, beauty, and kindness. Little did anyone know she was secretly abusive to her own adopted daughter behind closed doors. The details, from Joan's obsessive cleanliness to the infamous no wire hangers neighbor scene, captivated readers and ignited controversy. As you might expect, Mommy Dearest quickly became a bestseller, and its success overshadowed many of Joan Crawford's accomplishments. The book painted Joan in such a negative light that for many it became difficult to separate her career achievements from the allegations of abuse. Even though Joan Crawford had won an Academy Award and starred in iconic films that shaped Hollywood's golden age, the revelations in Mommy Dearest altered how she was perceived by future generations. The memoir's adaptation into a film in 1981 starring Faye Dunaway only intensified the cultural impact of Christina's story, While the movie was intended as a drama, its over-the-top performances and shocking scenes made it infamous, changing Joan Crawford's reputation completely. In the end, Christina Crawford's book outshines Joan's legacy in many ways. Though Joan remains a Hollywood icon, much of the conversation around her life and career has been reframed by Christina's account. Liza Manelli. Being the daughter of a director and one of Hollywood's most celebrated actresses is not an easy thing, but in this case, it was 10 times harder because Liza here is the daughter of the great Judy Garland. From the day she was born, she had the weight of Hollywood on her shoulders. Everyone was thinking the same thing. Will she take after her mother? And if she does, will she stay in Judy's shadows forever? Well, Liza was no coward. As she grew into a teenager, she was determined to set her own path and make a name for herself on her own terms. She took to the stage at just 17, making her professional debut in Best Foot Forward, a long way from the grandeur of her parents' Hollywood careers. Then she worked as a nightclub singer as an adolescent, making her professional nightclub debut at the age of 19 at the Shoreham Hotel in Washington, D.C. But those were just beginning for her. She was keen on working her way to the top stage by stage, night by night, and her resolve paid off. That same year, she began appearing in other clubs and on stage in Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Chicago, Miami, and New York City. Her success as a live performer led her to record several albums for Capitol Records. Liza, 1964, It Amazes Me, 1965, and There Is a Time, 1966. As a matter of fact, by 19, she had already won a Tony Award for Flora the Red Menace, proving she wasn't just living off her family's fame. Little by little, she was beginning to shut the mouths of all those who thought she would live under her mother's shadow forever. So let's answer the million-dollar question. Did she gain more success than her mother? Well, you do the maths. For one, the eras of Judy and Liza were not exactly the same. While Judy was known for her classic movie roles and unforgettable voice in musicals of Hollywood's golden age, Liza found her success in a different era, one that celebrated raw, live performance. Her breakaway moment came on Broadway, where she thrived in a more intimate and immediate way, earning accolades that her mother's screen career never reached. Even though both women are undeniably great in their own right, they thrived in different worlds. On one hand, Judy's star power came from her unforgettable performances in the movies, while Liza became one of the most celebrated entertainers of her time. But wait, that's not all Liza accomplished. She was able to bag an Emmy, Grammy, and a Tony Award, the triple threat of success. This honor has only been bestowed to very few performers, and even Judy was nowhere near this feat. But what is even more impressive is the relationship between Liza and her mother, Judy. According to Liza, Judy has always been a great support every step of the way. In a recent interview, Liza said, "When I call on her, she's there, and I call on her a lot with my problems and challenges. She'll say, 'It's one opinion. Who cares? Just keep going.'" Mariska Hargitay. If you're wondering who she is, she's the daughter of Jane Mansfield, and this story starts out tragic, but ends up being the sweetest and one of the most inspirational stories in all of Hollywood. So, Jane Mansfield was the ultimate blonde bombshell of the 1950s and early 60s. She was more than just a Hollywood starlet, she was a walking headline. Known for her over-the-top persona and frequent comparisons to Marilyn Monroe, her career often centered on her undeniable screen appeal and incredibly talent. When she met actor and bodybuilder Mickey Hargitay, the chemistry was intense and highly publicized, just like her career. Amidst all the flashing cameras and gossip, their daughter Mariska Hargitay was born, inheriting both beauty and star power from her famous parents. But the happiness of this beautiful family was sadly short-lived. Tragically, Jane Mansfield's life was cut short in a horrific car accident in 1967, leaving behind a legacy of glamour, scandal, and unfulfilled potential. But in the years following, it was her daughter, Mariska, who quietly built a career that would eclipse her mother's. Mariska Hargitay didn't burst onto the scene in the same flashy way her mother did. Instead, she worked steadily, appearing in small roles on TV before landing the career-defining role of Olivia Benson in Law & Order: Special Victims Unit. It was this role that would propel her into stardom, not just as an actress, but as a symbol of resilience, strength, and compassion. Over the years, Mariska's portrayal of Olivia Benson earned her an Emmy Award, a Golden Globe, and a legion of loyal fans. Her character became one of the most beloved figures in television, representing the fight for justice in cases of sexual assault and abuse. She has played the role for over 2 decades, making her one of the longest-running leads in TV history, a feat her mother, with all her brief, meteoric fame, could never have imagined. While Jayne Mansfield's legacy is tied to her image and scandalous persona, Mariska has carved out a reputation for her work, activism, and philanthropy. She founded the Joyful Heart Foundation, which helps survivors of sexual assault, domestic violence, and child abuse, expanding her impact far beyond the screen. In comparing their careers, the contrast is stark. Jayne Mansfield was a pop culture icon of her time, but her fame was fleeting, often overshadowed by the gossip that followed her. Mariska, on the other hand, has created a legacy built on substance, longevity, and dedication to a cause. While Mansfield's star burned bright and fast, it is Mariska Hargitay's steady, lasting glow that has truly outshone her mother's. Carrie Fisher. Imagine growing up with a mother who's a Hollywood legend. That was Carrie Fisher's reality. Debbie Reynolds, Carrie's mom, was a huge star during Hollywood's golden age. She was famous for her roles in movies like Singin' in the Rain and the unsinkable Molly Brown. Everyone loved her bubbly personality and her impressive dance moves. But that was not all there was to Debbie. Throughout her career, she won several Golden Globe Awards, including Best Actress in a Musical or Comedy for Singin' in the Rain and Tammy and the Bachelor. Then came her role in the unsinkable Molly Brown, and for her performance, she also earned a Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actress and an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress. But if think that's all she achieved, then think again. Reynolds also went on to pick up a Tony Award for Best Actress in a Musical for Irene and an Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a limited series or television movie. For a while, she was celebrated for all of these, but in 2015, she was honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Screen Actors Guild. Her contributions to film and dance were further recognized with the Gene Kelly Legacy Award, and in 2014, she was named a Disney Legend. Now, all of these are no doubt tough to live up to. So when Debbie had her daughter, Carrie Fisher, everyone looked to her to carry on from where her mother stopped. However, it was unlikely that she would ever supersede her mother's accolades and impact. But little did they know, Carrie would soon prove them all wrong. Born in 1956, Carrie's big break came with Star Wars in 1977, where she played Princess Leia. Now, for a lot of other stars, their first big break was probably a slightly above-average performance, but Carrie took that role like she had a point to prove. And let me tell you, she didn't just play a role. She made Princess Leia one of the most iconic characters in film history. Carrie's Leia was tough, smart, and unforgettable, something Hollywood had never seen before. As you may imagine, that was the beginning of a lot more opportunities for her. And just like that, she was well on her way to becoming a star and even surpassing her mother. She could have sat back and kept on taking roles, but once again, Carrie was ruthlessly ambitious. Acting was all well and good, but she wasn't about to stop there. Little did anyone know that she was also a talented writer until in 1987, Carrie published her first book, Postcards from the Edge. It was a raw, funny, and insightful look at her life. And just like her movie roles, the book was accepted with open arms because it was so good. The value of the book was so high, it got turned into a movie with Meryl Streep. So now Carrie had excelled in 2 different things, acting and writing. Would be great to stop here, right? Well, not for Carrie. Not only did she make a name for herself in front of the camera, she decided to delve into a career behind it. So with films like Sister Act and The Wedding Singer, she was behind the scenes, directing and helping with the writing. It appeared to everyone that not only was Carrie the true daughter of Debbie Reynolds, but she was also a multi-talented person who was keen on making her mark in the Hollywood industry. In the end, while Debbie Reynolds was a star in her time, Carrie Fisher managed to stretch her influence across multiple areas of entertainment. Her mom's career was all about classic films and television, which was huge back then, but Carrie took things to the next level. She was in movies, wrote best-selling books, and even helped shape other films from behind the scenes. So, in a way, Carrie Fisher took her mom's Hollywood legacy and added her own twist to it. She kept reinventing herself and stayed relevant for decades. While Debbie Reynolds will always be remembered for her iconic roles and her sparkling personality, Carrie Fisher's legacy spans acting, writing, and screenwriting. She didn't just ride her mother's coattails, she created her own trail and made her mark in a big way. Angelina Jolie. From the moment she was born, getting into Hollywood was inevitable. Born in 1975 to actor Jon Voight, who had already established a formidable career, Jolie's path seemed set from the beginning. But let's talk about her father, Jon, for a moment, shall we? Jon Voight was a prominent figure in the late 1960s and 1970s, known for his powerful performances in films like Midnight Cowboy, 1969, which earned him an Academy Award nomination, and Deliverance, 1972, where his portrayal of a city man in a harrowing situation became iconic. His role in Coming Home, 1978, earned him an Academy Award for Best Actor. By every stretch of THR imagination, Voight's success was significant in its time, and he was celebrated as one of the leading men of his generation. Angelina Jolie, however, took Hollywood by storm in ways that extended beyond her father's achievements. Her journey began with a mix of natural talent and persistence. Her first notable role came with Hackers, 1995, but it was her performance in Girl, Interrupted, 1999, that truly marked her arrival. In the film, Jolie's portrayal of Lisa Rowe, a troubled young woman in a mental institution, earned her the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress, a recognition that her father had won earlier for Coming Home, but she didn't stop there. She became a household name with her role as Lara Croft in Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, 2001, and its sequel, which showcased her action hero prowess and cemented her status as an international star. Then came Mr. and Mrs. Smith, 2005. She electrified the screens and showed everyone she deserved to be at the top of the chain in Hollywood, both in action and romantic comedy. Like all that was not enough, Angelina Jolie's career has been marked by a significant humanitarian impact. She was appointed a Goodwill Ambassador for the UNHCR in 2001 and later became a special envoy, using her platform to advocate for refugees and displaced people. Her work earned her the Jean Hirschholt Humanitarian Award from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences in 2013. But she's not only known for being an actress, her influence extends to directing and producing as well. Films like In the Land of Blood and Honey, 2011, and Unbroken, 2014, show that she surpassed her father in more ways than one. Comparing their careers, Jon Voight's legacy is built on classic, acclaimed performances that defined a generation. Angelina Jolie, however, has surpassed him by not only excelling in acting across various genres, but also by using her fame to make substantial humanitarian contributions and establishing herself as a director and producer. Jolie's ability to blend commercial success with impactful social advocacy highlights a career that goes beyond what her father achieved, making her one of the most influential figures in modern Hollywood. Jodie Foster. Her rise to fame was far from ordinary, and in comparison to her mother, Jodie's journey yielded more fruit. Born in 1962 to Evelyn Brandy Foster, a former film star and one-time child model, Jodie entered the limelight early, stepping into a world where her mother, Evelyn, had already made a mark. As worthy as her mother was in the industry, she did not achieve the level of stardom that her daughter would go on to reach. Jodie's breakthrough came as a child actress, with her role in Taxi Driver, 1976, where ironically, she played a young prostitute. At just 14, her performance was a powerful and unsettling portrayal that earned her the Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. This role was essentially the catalyst that blew her career up and would cause her to skyrocket beyond her mother's achievements. Carrying on with precision and perfection in her art, Jodie Foster's career took off with her Oscar-winning performance in The Silence of the Lambs, 1991, where she portrayed Clarice Starling, a young FBI trainee hunting a serial killer. Her portrayal of Starling earned her the Academy Award for Best Actress, making her one of the youngest to win in this category. Foster's talent was not limited to acting. She transitioned into directing with success, helming films like Little Man Tate, 1991, and The Beaver, 2011, and earning critical acclaim for her directorial skills. Comparing her achievements to her mother's, it's clear that Jodie Foster has surpassed Evelyn Brandy Foster in nearly every way. Her 2 Academy Awards and her extended influence in both acting and directing showcase a level of success and impact that greatly exceeds what her mother accomplished.